Absolutely the answer to this question, because let me tell you something. Tetris has been around for 25 years. It's been around for almost 30 years, and it's still going strong. Almost every platform out there you could possibly imagine has some kind of Tetris game for it. You are 100% absolutely correct. There will be a Tetris game, I believe, for every single platform in 25 years, the way that there was 25 years ago. 100% agree with that. But as a bonus, I'm going to roll on your board game because I didn't specify video game, although I meant it, so I'm going to put that in now. And the answer is Solitaire. So yes, Solitaire. Solitaire is absolutely, I can put away the D6 now. Solitaire is another one. It's been around forever and ever and ever. It will probably be around forever and ever and ever. The experience will not change. I could absolutely see that going on. And, you know, maybe Monopoly. Monopoly's been around 50 years. It could absolutely be around in another 25. So shame on me for not coming up with the right nomenclature, maybe not the right question to ask for my question, right? So Youngblood, point taken. You win. And as I said before, Lashida asked the question that fundamentally we must answer in order to answer this question, which is, are we talking about a game being timeless? Or are we talking about a franchise that just resonates on into the future? I'll be honest with you, when I thought about this question, I was probably more thinking the longevity of a singular game or the characters of a game franchise. Not necessarily that we would have iteration number 500 of Final Fantasy. That being said, I love that you guys took it that way. I think it's fantastic. I think it works the best for everything that we're talking about here. So I am going to think along those terms to give you my answer. Thank you for all of your contributions. Today, I want to look back at a few things that you guys have talked about, because I'm going to have different answers depending on what the question is. So if the question happens to be, what game franchise do I think we'll see an iteration from in 25 years? I would probably, guys, it's really tough. I'll tell you what, this is the one I would want to see. I would want to see a Halo game. I love that universe so much. I think there's so much story to be told there. The way that there's now been 25 or 30 years of Star Wars that's been told. And that's for better or for worse, and I completely understand that. But the Halo universe is really, really great. And I think it's a universe within which there's a tremendous number of possibilities in terms of story. So I hope in 25 years there's not just Halo 25, but that Halo 25 is viable and fun and awesome. So that's what I hope. What do I think? Well, honestly, Youngblood covered it with Tetris and Solitaire. There's going to be an iteration of Tetris and Solitaire for the newest platforms. I just know it. It's going to happen. That's going to be there, so I'm just going to throw that out there as my answer for that. Now, what answer should be required reading? In other words, the other instance, which is, what is the game that you feel like people will be playing in 25 years and going, yes, that game got to it from our generation from the year 2011? That's a more challenging question. Here's what I want it to be. I want it to be BioShock Infinite. I want it to be a game that people in 25 years go, this game was brilliant. Ken Levine did such an amazing job designing this game. It just has so many great possibilities for it. This is the answer. This was a great watershed moment in gaming. Will it be that? I don't know. I would say probably it's not great smart money yet, because BioShock is still a relatively young franchise. And BioShock Infinite has not proven itself yet at all, by the way. So maybe I should look at a game that's already been released if I'm going to put my money on a specific game being looked at as timeless, which is the other way to construe the question that I asked today, or for today. I am going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say that if there's a game from 2011 that I think people will look back on and say, wow, that game changed everything. It is a game that absolutely deserves merit. I'm going to say it's going to be Portal 2. Portal 2 is a game people will play in 25 years, maybe the way that people play Link right now. When you play Legend of Zelda from 25 years ago, it fundamentally changed the way that we look at a lot of things in games. It changed a lot of things. And I think Portal 2 really ups the ante on that. And I could use a lot of different games, guys, by the way. A lot of games I think that are very, very good, like L.A. Noire. You know, it makes a lot of really cool changes to games, and I think it could absolutely have a chance. So there are a tremendous number of possibilities, but those are the ones that I would put out there as my favorites, and you guys can argue amongst yourselves moving forward. So thanks for that. Now is that time in the Weekly Ringer when I have to ask about a question for next week. Obviously, the temptation is to ask something about the memorial of 9/11 or several of the other things that I've been thinking about this week. I'm not going to go with the obvious here. I want to think back to something else. Now, Crash Bandicoot recently turned 15 years old. Crash Bandicoot was supposed to be the Mario equivalent on the original PlayStation. It was supposed to be something that they could build a franchise on for years and years and years to come, and it really did serve that function for quite a long time. And all the different iterations of Crash, I think, showed that. So, happy birthday, Crash Bandicoot. Now, what I wanted to say about that, though, rather than talking about Crash Bandicoot specifically, I started thinking about the games that were important. The important games from the PlayStation era. And there were a lot of them, folks. There were a lot of games in the PlayStation era that came to redefine games that so incredibly shaped the way that we think of 3D worlds now, and that changed the way that people make games moving forward into today, right? There were a lot of twos there. I apologize. So the Weekly Ringer question for next week that I want you to answer focuses around this point. And it is this. What is the most important game from the PlayStation 1 era? Now, when I say era, I mean let's lock it into the PlayStation 1. Let's not talk 64. Let's not talk Dreamcast or anything that came before it or after it. I want you to tell me what the most important PlayStation 1 game ever was. Which one was the most important? And most important could mean a lot of things. Leaving it kind of open-ended, that's a little bit of the point. I want you guys to tell me what the most important game from the PlayStation was. That's the question for next week. As always, thank you all for your viewership. I really appreciate all the comments that you give to me and the contributions that you make. You keep the video series going. So thank you all for commenting. Thank you all for watching. That is the Weekly Ringer. I am the Commodore from the clan of the Grey Wolf, and there is no reset button.